Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Corporate Socialite Budgets. In today's video, I will be budgeting the first paycheck of November. So in the last video, I did mention that I was going to get back into my routine and posting videos a lot more consistently, and life happened. So I actually did record another video that just did not make it to YouTube because I actually had to go back home to my hometown in Florida because my mom was sick in the hospital for a few weeks. And of course, I just kind of packed up everything and left some of the USB drives that I use to upload the videos. So that kind of just set me back a lot, and I was at home for about a month or so. So I'm back into gear, and when I was home, I definitely overspent just because, she was down and out. I was staying at the hospital with her, just making sure that everything was okay, and of course, just being extra concerned. So a lot of eating out took place. There was just tons of spending that took place on my credit cards, unfortunately. So as you can see over here, my age of money dropped almost by half. I'm still trying to understand how did that even happen, but I will just have to uncover that at a different time and, just build to get it back to where it was at the 1 month mark. So I have a couple new goals in place that will just roll over into 2023. But as of this month for November, my current goal is to completely pay off my Fifth Third card, which has like a balance of about $50, so no biggie. And then my Capital One card, and just put those cards completely on ice because I am using my Chase Sapphire Preferred card a lot more religiously, just so I can take advantage of the travel points, especially since I travel home quite often and just travel in general leisurely. So I want to just have these two on ice and not even worry about spending on those, and just place all of my purchases on my Chase Sapphire card, because at this point now I also pay all of my bills on this card as well, just to take advantage of points. So that is November's goal, and I think that would be fairly easy. I think Capital One has a balance of about $100, so I'm not concerned about that at all, but I have to just make sure that I am being mindful of my spending, especially now that we are approaching holiday season. Okay, so I am going to dive right in. This might be a pretty short video because, as you guys know, I ultimately allocate money to my 1 month ahead fund and then just cover any overspends. Just bear with me. I kind of had a setback, but I am just kind of giving myself some grace because I understand that life happens, and I really couldn't control a lot of the different things that took place in the past month or so. So I'm going to just take this time now that I'm back in, my own space and able to just really decompress and focus on my routines again, and, especially my finances. We'll manage and make it through, and I'll get back to a more comfortable position. Okay. So I'm going to allocate half of what is needed for my 1 month ahead. So that pretty much means the 2180 divided by 2. I'm going to see if this works. I love to play with formulas in YNAB just because it has so many abilities, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So we will just have to see. Oh, and it worked. Perfect. Okay. And actually, I might need to update this to 184 just because I recently subscribed to Wall Street Journal while they had the election sale. So it's like $1 every week, which I think is an extremely great deal. And I also just want to dive back into understanding the industry that I work in and just being prepared at work, just so I can start to advance my career development and ultimately advance my pay as well. So learning my craft a little bit more will definitely be essential. Okay, so I am left with $5.95. Okay, so I definitely want to add money to my emergency fund. I had to tap into it slightly just to get back and forth from Florida to Ohio, and the flight prices have shot up. I remember during the pandemic, I was able to go home for about $80. The flight to get back to Ohio from Florida was about $380 for one way. So that was extremely tough on my overall budget. So we will just see how that happens. I'm going to probably just add $50 for now. And then I do want to make sure my Christmas gift fund, because that is probably the only one remaining, is on track still. And I believe I owe $183 to stay on track. So I'm going to just do $183.20, which is what's necessary to stay on track, and divide that by 2. Okay, so I'm good there. I'm probably going to add 300 minus what's already in there to get me to 300. Okay, we're good. And some of these categories are kind of wacky. I'm going to add 25 for gas. I don't even know if that's going to suffice, to be honest, but we shall see. I'm going to add in $20 for stuff I didn't budget for. Cash. Ooh, this one is... Okay, pay some of my cards back. I don't even know how fun money was. $100. Oh my God, I bought clothes. So I can say when I went home, I realized that some of the ways, or unhealthy ways, I was coping with the emotional roller coaster of my mom's health. So while she was in the hospital, she actually had 2 different hospital admittances, and the first hospital that she was initially at could not figure out what was wrong with her. They just knew that her lab work was out of whack, and they essentially just discharged her, saying that it was a systemic infection that needed to, just run its course. And then when she went home for about 3 days, her symptoms just seemed to get worse. So I called her primary and was like, I think you need to see her. And when he saw her, he was like, you know what? I think you need to go to the ER because you don't look good. Your pulse is up. And, things were just really wacky. And of course, just kind of taking everything in and day by day getting new updates, I was just extremely overwhelmed. So I was finding myself eating a lot. So that kind of ties into the eating out. So I was eating a lot, especially out, because I wasn't at home to be able to cook or whatever the case. The convenience of just grabbing something or Uber eating it, which is a whole nother expense on top of the eating out. So I have noticed that I've put on a few pounds and I also was not working out, which would have been probably a more healthier way of coping with stress. And then also I was kind of tapping into some retail therapies. I was buying some things that I probably didn't quite need, but it just made me feel happy in the moment. But I got to pull it together now because she is much better on the road to recovery. She's not completely back to her normal self, but just the fact that she was in the hospital 2 different times for a total of about a month, I'm sure it's still going to take quite some time for her to just readjust to life and her sense of normal. And also probably for me too, but we'll just see. So I do have some quad pay and afterpay purchases that I need to cover. All right, and also I know I want to add $100 there. And let's see, 60 minus 25. Okay. Actually, I'll just do 70 here, just in case. And it's a holiday weekend, so who really knows how that's gonna pan out. I probably should pay this back. Add a couple dollars to food on the run, which I really shouldn't be fooding on the run. But I'm gonna just add $10 there just in case. And then, oh, I didn't mention, this is huge, that I actually have a trip that was pre-planned for my boyfriend's birthday. And we're going to Vegas next week, and I clearly have nothing saved for that. I did at one point, but once I started to look at how I was overspending at home, and not even just spending on food and clothes, I was also providing different groceries at home, just to make sure my mom was covered when she was discharged. So I did kind of spend a little bit more than I had allocated for some of these things, especially since I am a single individual. I don't necessarily budget for a family or family size. So of course I definitely exceeded different category groups, but I will probably just add the money to one of these just because it'll cover that. Okay, so I'm gonna just check some of these things. So this is ultimately what it's going to be. I am over a couple categories, which looks like it's fun money and the Vegas trip that I have planned. And that was a deposit that I had to put down for one of the events that we're doing. So I'm sure I'll be reimbursed for that deposit just because it is a group of us. But I'm not too concerned about that anyway. But I do want to thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with me through my inconsistencies, and also just kind of watching the ebbs and flows of my overall budgets and financial journey. So if you've seen me in the beginning, I was, very off track as far as budgeting goes. I didn't really even have a good grasp of how YNAB works. And then I started to kind of pick up some momentum and build up my emergency fund and knock out my financial goals that I initially set. And now I'm kind of down to a point where, I'm not completely at rock bottom, but I am somewhere that, I would definitely like to build from and, not find myself in too much of a hole. So definitely the goal at this point, just to wrap things up, would be for this month to pay off 2 of my credit cards, which is about maybe $150 in total, to just wipe those out. And then of course to rebuild my emergency fund, maybe to that $1,000 mark here. And then also to have my age of money be back to at least 1 month. So I think that will be fine as well. So I thank you all so much again, and I will see you most definitely, fingers crossed, in the next video. All right, guys, bye.